Just like our favorite Star Wars character always said, there's always two of them. They could not be more true for the whiskey we have for you here tonight. Barrel Bourbon. You guys have heard about them before on our show, probably ad nauseum at this point. But we decided to save two barrels, not single barrels, but we'll get to that in a second. We decided to save two barrels for a fun little experiment tonight, and that is to talk about just straight up barrel bourbons. We have batches 32 and 33. You've seen these bottles for sure, no doubt. We've got batch 32, 33, and we're going to put them head to head.
Here we go with 32. Nice and rich. The legs on this are pretty good. These are both 5 years.
Yeah.
I think they're right around the same proof point, right?
They are very close to each other. Here's 33. I want to say they differ.
Yeah, 57 and 58%. Yeah. So these are extremely close in proof. Same age. I haven't cracked into them side by side yet. I should have grabbed 31 as well for this, but whatever. 31 has been my favorite release of Barrel's batch in years. I think that was a great expression. So I'm excited to see how these stack up, how I think they compare to that one, and also which one of these two drinks better for me. So I've been into 32 there just a bit here. I'm going to get into 33 and start making some initial decisions here.
Rock on. So if you guys are not familiar with Barrell Bourbon, they are also known as Barrel Craft Spirits, and they also release Stellum Spirits. What's notable about these batches, 32, 33, clearly they have been at it for a while. This is a blend of Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee bourbon. We will go ahead and drop it's kind of gets mumbo jumbo, so we'll drop the stats for each batch here on the screen in a minute. Both of them contain a variety of ages. I want to say it's between like 5 and 10, all three different states. They kind of mix and match. It's like the big mix master, I guess. And coming in, we have batch 32 at 5 years age stated. There could be older stuff in there at 57.67% ABV, and batch 33, which is also age stated at 5 years, coming in at 58.3%. So we've got them poured head to head. I've got two Glens, as I know you do too, John.
I have got two, but I'm not going to try to pick them both up at the same time for fear of somebody making a mess. That person being me.
I mean, this is a skill. I've been working on this for years. I know your MO is to dump whiskey kind of everywhere, as it were.
Sometimes, yeah, that does happen.
So what do you think so far? I'm going to go ahead and give this a sniff, but
okay. So when I dig into 32, I catch some similarities from 31. There's like this cool bananas foster, banana cream, even like a banana nut bread type of thing going on here. Is slightly nutty, good layers of fruit in there, just like heavy cream, almost like a little bit of this like praline kind of thing going on. That's really usually pretty catchy for me. I like all of those things. And like, so the banana note is something that I feel like is off-putting to a lot of folks, and it can be very divisive. So I want to indicate very clearly that I don't find this to be like an artificial banana. This is not like the Runts candy or banana chips or anything like that. It's just like sort of like a banana pudding, banana pie type of deal. And in that way, I feel like it works really well.
Yeah, I'm with you there. This reminds me, it took me a long time to come up with this flavor note when you're like, tastes like banana, but not that weird Laffy Taffy way, right? Or like that weird Runts way, like
right.
Really natural banana. And I'm glad you called it out, because this to me smells like those dehydrated banana chips, right? Like you might find in a trail mix or in a bag of snacks. Like it smells like banana. It's not like that fresh kind of thickly sweet that I get from banana, the fruit itself, but it's really creamy, like viscous, like really sweet, fruity, but like very natural at the same time, which is an interesting kind of a kudos to Barrel.
So I just said that for me it wasn't like banana chips, and then you said that it was, which is fine. Like the banana thing, like I said, is very, very divisive. It's going to be something that's polarizing. People are going to be like, oh, it's definitely this flavor, and I either like it or don't, and that's fine. I think it works. I caught a lot of that in the batch 31, and the viscosity of 31 really stood out to me. Like that's one way for me to always kind of win the whiskey war, right? Like if I'm reviewing 3 or 4 products in a row and they're all extremely close in terms of the nose is great, they work well on the palate, and the finish is solid, whichever one of those has the best mouthfeel is always going to win for me. Like, I don't know if it's just for like from a cooking background or what, but that for me is always the way to elevate that spirit just a little bit. And these recent, like actually it's in 32 as well, but I feel like my memory of 31 was that it stood out just a bit heavier, and I liked that a ton.
That's a really good point. And to bring it back to kind of the cooking aspect, you're right. Like, a lot of people don't talk about viscosity, but it's such a part of the equation, and it's things you notice just in everyday life, right? Like, not maybe the viscosity of like a chicken dish, but you notice if it's thick or it's thin or it's runny or it's watery, or if
Right.
you have a milkshake, if it's too, cold and damp and like it drinks more like soda than like a thick, rich, like parfait kind of thing. So, I agree with you. Finish usually works for me as well. Like kind of that experience once you finish the pour and start to walk away, and you're like, wow, this is really hanging with me. Or sometimes it's just like gone right away, and you're like, I want another sip, and the next thing you know, you're halfway through, a decent sized glass. But moving to 33, I noticed this guy is pretty different.
Yeah, it is different. I catch a different layer of fruit on this, a little bit more red fruits up front, like even like kind of a like that pancake breakfast thing that we like kind of have
Mhm.
this like this internal joke, but still is a legitimate tasting note. Like there is some of that like creamy batter in there with like a maple note going on for me. A little bit of light brown sugar too.
Yeah, I like this. This reminds me of kind of I know we were talking about old fashions earlier today, you and I offline, but this reminds me, it's got, nice oak to it, nice maple. There's like some candied orange and ginger, orange peel. This does kind of remind me of the base of like a very solid old fashioned. I don't mean like, it's big and boozy and it tastes like very strongly of these things, but like, if I poured this in a glass with maybe an ice cube, I could totally, just enjoy this guy all night long. It's got a lot of the different kind of flavor cornerstones that I look for in a whiskey. It's pretty complex.
That could be the type of cocktail I get behind, right? Like we take a little orange twist, a couple of Luxardo cherries, put them on a skewer, ice cube in the glass of this, no mixing, no shaking. Just sip that and pretend it's a cocktail. I get on board with that. This does have a nice oak quality to it. You're right.
I have to give him credit. Like both of these whiskeys are so deceptive too, right? Because they do choose, instead of labeling them as NAS products or NAS, which means no age statement, they pick the youngest whiskey in the
Right.
batch, even though it's kind of deceptive. Like there is up to double digit age whiskey in these batches, but they put a 5 year on the label. And if you didn't know better, you drink this and be like, holy shit, this is the best 5 year whiskey I, have ever had. And I agree. You could drop a bitters, drop a Luxardo or two in an ice cube, and you'd probably be off to the races with a pretty good, well-made cocktail.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. It's so this is going to be a little bit of a tougher distinction than I thought it might have been originally, because 32, in my opinion, is the closest to 31 of this batch. So I guess with that said, the listener could say, I am into the creamier notes, the banana notes, and things like that, the banana nut bread, a little bit of that praline. Or they could say, I fucking hate bananas and you guys are stupid. So I'm just going to buy batch 33 because that sounds way more up my alley with some of the lighter red fruits, a little bit of a darker texture to it, heavier oak, a dash of spice. Like that is certainly uh, a good divide between the two. They are most certainly not the same, which is crazy to think like from one batch to the next, how different would it be? They intentionally make these all to be very different. So 31 and 32, I think, are actually fairly similar. I'm looking forward to trying those side by side eventually. But between these two here, I'm almost at a split decision. I'm gonna go back in for a taste.
Okay. While you wrap that up, I do have thoughts here. We have had batches in the past that are wildly dissimilar, and we've had some that taste similar, like you mentioned. I am actually really glad that we held these two for their own video together instead of doing individual reviews because, these are pretty different. And sometimes I think one of the best things you can do, even if you're just trying to get used to drinking whiskey for the first time, is to pour very small pours of two different whiskeys because it's easier to compare things than to pull notes out of thin air, right? And like
That's a
it's
great point.
very clear to me, even for similar components, similar ages, very similar proofs. Like these are two very different whiskeys, and they appeal to two different camps of people. And I would take 33 all day. I love 32 in a vacuum, but comparing the two, 33 for me is no contest, the winner in my mind. And it honestly, I have an object lesson, which I rarely prepare, but the you can tell that there's a difference in these bottles based on how much I've enjoyed between when they showed up and when we did these videos. And shocker, the 33 is the newer batch. So I've owned it for less time. I've definitely just found myself gravitating towards it, even though I love banana. Like I'm a big lover of Jack Daniels, and still the batch 33 is the one for me.
I think I'm going to go with you on this one. 33 just has more stuff going on. I think if I were comparing 31 and 33, which to continue kicking this dead horse, I am going to say, like, I think between 31 and 33 that I lean toward 31. But between 32 and 33, I think 33 is just a bit more interesting. There's a little bit more going on. Those layers of oak always kind of like, grab me and make me a little bit more excited. There's a really good element of spice in that one, which I think is not necessarily missing in 32. It's just not what's in the front stage there. So 33 is certainly a really cool pour. I feel like these are like Monday night, Tuesday night whiskeys in that they're just like, you want both, but never necessarily at the same time. Whereas 32 is a little bit more desserty. 33 is a little bit more just overall complex. You want to have both of these things, but maybe not together.
Yeah, I'm with you. I left batch 33. I have a chair that I work at every night when I'm typing and doing this and that, type. And the 33 was just hard to stay out of. I was like, man, sounds good. I'm going to do a pour. But this gives me kind of a kooky idea to close on out the episode. We have enough of these batches and we're started to compare them. We might have to do like not a March Madness, but some bracket kind of series. People
Barrel
compare
bracket.
brands all the times, but like if we have 16 barrel batches, I can't think of a crazier thing to do than try and, stack them all up against each other.
That could be fun to do. Make a for a cool playlist of YouTube videos as well, where we could sort of run through them chronologically and then do like a barrel battle or whatever type of alliterative term would be really fun.
Yeah, it'd be a bruiser because these are all high proof. But if you work for Liquid IV or maybe even Gatorade or Pedialyte, we will talk to you and get this series rolling. We might need it, but sounds like a good time to me. 16 barrel bourbon batches overall. Comparing batch 32, 33, they're both really great. These retail for under $100 as far as I can recall. You really can't go wrong with at least the last 3 batches. So if you see one, pick one up. We would love to know from you. Like if you've compared these, which do you prefer? Do you love or hate that banana note? Let us know in the comments. I think it's always fun to ask you guys because you guys do have really strong opinions. And I think that's great. Like we all are here to drink whiskey and talk about it. John and I talk about it obviously a whole lot, but get involved in the conversation. And I think, yeah, I'm just going to drink batch 33. This thing's killer.
All right, shit, yeah. If you're on Team Banana, just let us know in the comments. And I'm excited about where this thing goes.
I don't think we could possibly get ourselves in any more trouble with a name like Team Banana, but
Heyo.
Either way, we'll let you guys decide.